Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Merle Massey. I'm the coordinator for undergraduate research here at the University of Saskatchewan. And we have a session, a whole group of sessions under our entrepreneurship banner for the SURE program, so Student Undergraduate Research Experience. And all of these entrepreneurship webinars come to us from Research Excellence and Innovation. You'll find the rest of them on our YouTube page. They're all linked. They're on a playlist. And today we have Chris Bowman, who's the Technology Transfer Manager with Research Excellence and Innovation, and he's going to be telling us about business models and business model canvas. And with that, over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Merle, for the invitation, and welcome to everyone here. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about sort of the concept is, you know, there's a business idea that comes maybe out of the summer research, or maybe you just have it on your own, or maybe you have it with some friends or whatever, and you want to start looking at what you need to think about to build that up to a business you can run. So let me see if I can actually change the page on my slideshow. I had some slideshow difficulty starting this thing out, so oh, come on. Oh, there we go. All right. So I just wanted to start with a few slides about who I am and who we are. So we are a kind of big chunk of the Office of the Vice President of Research, Research Excellence and Innovation. But the smaller group that I work very closely with is Technology Transfer. And the idea is that a lot of people at the university will invent, discover, develop things, products, services, or things that could potentially become products or services. But the university itself is not really in the business of, you know, selling antennas or consulting on environmental projects or things like that. So we do some of that, but it's not really our core business. Our core business is research and teaching. So we would like to partner with people whose core business is to build the antennas or to, you know, design the code to do whatever, and then transfer the ideas, the intellectual property from the university to those people, and let them take it to market so it can have a big impact. That's the goal, is to have an impact and sort of change the way people do things. So we work with campus entrepreneurs, innovators, to develop their ideas and potentially get them to a point to transfer them to industry. And we work with funders, industry, and the market, and connect them with innovators. Oftentimes we will look at research projects. So, you know, Cameco comes to us and says, we want to explore a better way to extract minerals from the ore we have. We'll match them up with faculty in engineering or chemistry or wherever is natural, and they can put a project together to try to work on the problem. We are one of the U15, the Canada's top research universities. We, up till recently, had a very, very high ranking in commercialization within the U15, primarily from one big innovation developed here, which is a vaccine for pigs, for swine. I sometimes joke that you kind of don't, you know, you find pearls in the strangest places, because you don't think off the top of your head that that's going to be a massive win for a university. But I mean, most of the swine in the world get this vaccine, and we're partnered with drug companies to deliver it. So it's been a real success story for the university. We work with entrepreneurs, innovators, people that want to, you know, push their idea out of the university and into the private sector. We had a program running a couple summers ago for summer entrepreneurs. Part of that program, I think, is actually living on through this SURE research, and a lot of it is being rethought, reimagined through the incubator that the university has launched, that is set up to help support university deep tech, quote unquote, companies get out of the university, get their feet underneath them, and get to market. And Jenilyn, who was graciously helping me with technical support earlier, is the point person on that incubator. So she is the person for all incubator related questions. So that's who we are. That's who I am. I focus primarily on the engineering, physical science, computer science side of things. I've encountered some colleagues that focus more on life sciences or different areas, different types of technology. And now the rest of the talk, I really want to talk about sort of taking an idea and trying to get a feeling for what a business around that idea might look like. So I'm going to start by assuming there's an idea. If not, there's lots of ways to sort of hypotheticalize this, which I will do, but there's also lots of methods, workshops to sort of try to distill a business idea, but that's not where I'm going. I'm going to assume you sort of have something you want to look at to start with. So you have what you think is a business idea. Maybe it's something you worked on over the summer. Maybe it's your own idea. Maybe it's, like I said, something you share with others. This is great. And you're thinking, I think I can make a living out of this. I think I can make a business, and this business will support me, and maybe some others, to get a product or service to market. So idea is a great place to start, but there's still a long way to go from idea to sort of functioning business. So most ideas don't make it. And we like to sort of tell the people that come to us with sometimes great ideas, there's a big gap between an idea and product. And there's also a big gap between a product and a product you can actually sell and make reasonable sales with. And oftentimes, like, inventors sometimes don't appreciate the scale of those gaps. So if something works on a benchtop, you know, it seems reasonable that it'll work in a refinery, but it doesn't always, because there are a lot of issues with scale up. There are a lot of issues with getting something that works in the lab out to a functioning business. So there's much to formalize between the idea and even getting to the point of an invention. You know, there needs to be design, implementation details. The example that gets overused a lot in the sort of patenting world is that, you know, a time machine is a great idea, but nobody knows how to build one. If you wanted an invention, you have to have a working time machine and instructions on how to put that thing together. And those are two very, very different things. So you'll see these kind of funnel diagrams a lot of the times. The idea is that, you know, each of those gray spheres is a good idea that comes at the sort of science stage, but only a few of those make it to quote unquote applied science, to sort of you know, from the theory to the experimental success, and only a few of those make it to the engineering stage where you can actually build something. Only a few of those are going to make it to a business ready stage, moving up with some people call the technology readiness level ladder, from sort of prototype, or from sort of idea, applied science idea, to a prototype. And then even after the prototype, getting a business ready prototype, something that can be made and distributed at a cost that makes it attractive in the market. And then at the bottom, after those thousands of ideas at the top, you get, you know, a new product. So there's a lot of a gap between great business ideas and actual products. And I have my slide of shame here of a bunch of things that were great ideas that for whatever reason never made it. So I don't know if I really have a pointer, maybe I do. If I'm showing my screen, hopefully you can see the mouse. So there's the infamous Betamax VCR, which VCRs far predate most of the people in this talk, except for maybe me. And it was supposed to be the better technology of the two different video recording devices 4 decades ago, but never succeeded for whatever reason. It was better in pretty much most measurable ways, but never caught on. You know, there's the famous Edsel Ford car that just about bankrupted the company in the 50s because they put so much money into releasing this car and nobody wanted it, or nobody wanted it at the price they were selling it at. The Barnes & Noble Nook e-reader, which kind of got buried under the Amazon Kindle, although you can still get Kobos in Canada from Indigo. Microsoft's Zune, I think it was, MP3 player. Again, never really caught on. A very, very high-end Nokia flip phone that was released right about the same time as the first iPhone. Didn't really catch on because the market just went in a completely different direction. And the burnt out cell phone there is a Samsung Note 4, which had a bad design feature which caused it to sometimes catch fire. So they had to, release and recall and bring them back. So all of these had, thousands of hours of engineering, brilliant designers, brilliant people putting lots of great hard work into these devices, and for whatever reason, didn't really catch the market's imagination, didn't really succeed. So how do you get there? How do you get to an idea that's successful? Well, it's a lot of it is serendipity, of course. There are some frameworks and tools that you can kind of use to try to get an idea of what your business idea will look like as a business, and I'm going to sort of explore a few of those. So we're going to start with a very high level thing that we like to do in the office called an NABC framework. I'll go into some of the details there and look at business models, tools like the business model canvas, and wrap up from there. So forget about any particular idea for now, but think about a business and ask 4 sort of fundamental questions about the business. What problem is your business going to solve? What is your solution to that problem? Why is that solution better than what anybody else is doing? And by the way, who else is doing it? So can you sort of go over those 4 questions related to the sort of business idea you have, but imagine it as a functioning business, and then summarize that all in just a few words that you can explain to somebody in the quote unquote elevator pitch. And that's really what this NABC framework is. It's, what is the need that your business addresses? What is your particular solution to that need? What's your approach? What's the benefits of doing it your way? And who else is doing it? Who are your competition? So if you can, and this is a sort of a sketch of a tool. It can be done over and over and over again for different aspects. It comes from the original sort of framework comes from Stanford Research, which is the Stanford Research Institute. Those letters may be evocative to people. SRI. It's the research lab that, among other things, developed Siri, the digital assistant on Apple products. So this is their kind of internal, we got something, what are we going to do with it, checklist, if you will, to sort of say, what do we have and where's it going to go, and what need does it address? At the very first thing, what's the need it addresses? Does anybody need it? There's lots and lots of great things that are really amazing, but nobody really needs them. Then they're not going to go anywhere, and on from there. So I'm going to use an example that's completely fabricated and in my mind is fictional, but maybe somebody can grab it and run with it. That's fine. So the case study I've done a couple of times before, and I'm going to do again here, is the Sous Vide microwave. So Sous Vide is a cooking technique that involves basically hot water. So you take the thing you want to cook, your steak, your roast, whatever, it gets sealed in a waterproof bag, and it gets immersed in water that is raised to the temperature you want the thing you're cooking to go to. So if you want a medium rare steak, maybe your water bath is set to I'm thinking in Fahrenheit because everybody does cooking in Fahrenheit in Canada, 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and it just sits there, and the heat permeates the thing you're cooking. It gets raised to that temperature uniformly throughout. It takes a long time, but you get exactly the degree of doneness that you want. You have a very, very precise control over your cooking. So apologies to any vegetarians looking at gigantic pictures of meat. But the idea is that instead of having sort of undercooked meat in the middle and overcooked sort of gray meat on the outside, when you use sort of traditional steak cooking methods, you get something that's all exactly the way you like it all the way through. So the idea, and again, this is just an idea. I don't have an implementation for this. It's just illustration for now. Can we do this with a microwave? So microwaves are able to heat food from the inside out. They're notorious for being uneven and producing hot spots and cold spots and uncooked places and just not being very uniform. But in theory, if you had a good engineer with some good sensors and some good controls, could you set something up that would let you raise the temperature of a piece of food uniformly throughout using sort of microwave radiation? I'm not sure. I don't have any idea how to do it, but that's the idea. And it's potentially got a lot of advantages, right? It's a lot more convenient than sealing something in a watertight bag and immersing it in water and then waiting for 6 hours. It's potentially a lot faster, but to be fair, there are probably some technical challenges, and I don't know how to overcome them. So it's something to explore, but it may or may not work. But we can still slap the NABC framework around it and say, what is the need that your business is going to solve? Well, I'm going to sell a product that allows people to create restaurant quality food at home. And the solution is that I'm going to have a microwave that's very, very sensitive and very, very uniform. It's better than existing microwaves because it'll be even cooking. It's a competitor for the sort of Sous vide style of water baths. So I listed the name of one of the companies that makes these immersion heaters that do the Sous vide style cooking. And it's as simple as that. That's what we have. We have a need, we have an approach, we have a benefit, and we have competition. We're not quite ready to go into business yet. So we're missing a lot of elements here. I started with customers. Everybody's going to say the first thing you're missing here is the design, which is of course true. But everything from this talk, I kind of want to put customers at the center of. So the people you're going to sell this to, who are they, and how are you going to reach them? And of course, as I said, we're missing a design. We don't really know how to build this. We have no idea what it's going to cost because sensors and controls and possibly multiple emitters of microwaves in the oven, it could get very expensive. We don't know. We don't have a design. We have no idea how we're going to pay for this. Even to build a prototype, of course, is expensive. But if we want to start building these things at scale, there will need to be some sort of manufacturing facility, probably some significant investment. And where do we start? Like, there's so many questions. I have an idea, but where on earth can I start? So that's the basis of business planning, is what is the plan to move my business from where it is now to that next level? And business plans will address all of these sorts of headings. What's our product? Who are our customers? How are we going to reach our customers? What do we need to get moved? What do we have and what do we need to get moving? Do I need that manufacturing facility? What is going to be necessary in terms of delivering this in the marketplace? Who are my people? Human resources is often something that's there are a lot of small companies that are sole proprietorships or just one person doing this. But if it's going to be bigger than that, you have to look at putting a team together. So who is my team? What do I need on my team? What kind of skills do I need on my team? What kind of characteristics do I need in my team members? Who are the partners? Do I need suppliers for everything from the frame that this microwave is going to go inside, to the magnetrons that are emitting the radiation, to the sensors, to the controls, to the software development? Do I need software development suites? What kind of stuff do I need, and who supplies those? Who am I going to partner with to get those? What happens if I have a deal for sensors and that company gets hit by a tsunami, which has happened before, and there's massive supply chain disruptions, and we're all familiar with supply chain disruptions these days, and I can't build this thing for 6 months. Do I have a backup plan? Do I have a secondary supplier? Do I have other partners that can step in? What are the activities that I need to manage when to get this thing off the ground? And what kind of resources am I going to need? And really, resources means what kind of money am I going to need to get this off the ground? All valid questions to look at, and all questions that investors who want to supply funds to your company are going to ask. And so the business model canvas is a tool, and I did not write down the name of the inventor of this tool. I'm blanking on it, but regardless, it's sort of ubiquitous now. It's everywhere, and it's a way of sort of sketching out what these 9 sections are, and how they relate to each other. So I don't expect anybody to be able to read that. I will tell you on the next page where you can actually find that particular image if you're interested, but there are literally thousands of different implementations and iterations of the business model canvas available online. That last page came from the Wikipedia page, if anybody wants to go there. I got another copy that is much less information and much more easily legible. The idea is that you have a bunch of boxes on this canvas that ask those sort of heading questions that I had a couple of slides back. So who are our partners? What are the key activities? What resources do we have to acquire? What's our business's value proposition? Who are our customers? How are we going to reach them? What kind of relationship are we going to have with them? And then, what are our costs going to be, and what's our income going to be once this thing gets up and running? So I was just going to go through the various boxes on this page and kind of expand on them a little bit, and then go from there with some examples. But first, before I go there, the structure of this canvas is kind of intentional, and what it does is it kind of has the left-hand side related to the thing you're making, or the product you're delivering, or the service you're delivering into the marketplace. So it's your value proposition. What are the activities you need to get this product or service to the market, and what's it going to cost you to get it there? That's sort of the left-hand loop there. And then the right-hand side is the sales side. So it's, who are my customers? How am I going to reach them? What am I going to charge them? What are they willing to pay? How am I going to get revenue in? And that's going to drive my production on the left-hand side. So there's sort of 2 linked loops of structure to this business model canvas layout that are intentional. So going through the various phases, at the far right hand side, I said I was going to try to put customers at the center of everything we talk about here. So customer segments. So who are your customers? Who are you selling to? And if I have time at the end, I'll go a little bit more into this sort of customer discovery, customer development side of things. But how well do you know your customers, and how well do you know what they really want? Because it's so easy to build a minimum viable product. You'll hear this phrase all the time, MVP, that is great and you love it and you put your heart into it, and it's not exactly what the market wants, and it doesn't go anywhere. So it's really, really important to know who your customers are and what is it that they really need, not what you think they need. So related to the customers, and sort of at the heart of the business model canvas, is your value proposition. So I got my customers and I got my idea of what they need. Now I got my value proposition. What do I have that I'm offering them, and how does this help them? And like harsh questions like, do they really care about what I'm offering them? Is this important to them? Is this something they need? Is this something they want? Is this something they're willing to pay for? Connected to that are your sales channels. So how am I going to reach them? So there's lots of different ways to reach a customer. Am I going to sell this thing as an Amazon affiliate and let Amazon take care of all that for me and just fulfill the orders as they come in? Am I going to be selling primarily to other businesses? Am I going to be a B2B supplier? Am I going to be selling to the public? Am I going to have a, maybe my idea is I want to open an ice cream store and I'm going to have a storefront and people are going to come by and they're going to want to order ice cream from me. So this is very general. It applies to sort of all businesses. How am I going to reach my customers? And what kind of relationships am I going to have with my customers? So this is, the relationship that Air Canada has with a customer is very different maybe than the relationship that Amazon has with the customer, which is going to be very different than the relationship that your lawyer has with their customer. Things can be more personal or more automated. Things can be sort of very generic. Everybody gets the same experience, or they can be very, very bespoke and customized. There's lots of different companies and they all have very different ways of relating with their customers, but there's always some kind of relationship there. If you're a business to business supplier, maybe you are working your way in to integrate your supply chain with the person you're selling to, and maybe you're becoming very close to that company, becoming sort of a trusted partner with that company, rather than having sort of just a transactional, we're going to sell you 20 widgets this month kind of relationship. It really, there's as many customer relationships as there are customers and companies. There are a lot of different ways of relating, and it's something to sort of put into the model for the business. I should mention, I didn't mention at the top, that this business, one of the advantages of this business model canvas approach is that it's quick and dirty and lightweight. So it can be iterated over and adjusted and redone and changed, potentially hundreds of times as your business evolves. Business plans are notorious for being these great big weighty, hefty documents that are sort of laid out in stone. Whereas the business model canvas is a very lightweight thing. You can definitely take your business model canvas sketch and build a formal business plan from it. But they serve similar roles, but not the same role, in the sense that it's very nimble, if you will. You can rattle off changes to your business model canvas in a half an hour, rather than having to sort of redo the business plan document for external views. So all of this is captured under the revenue side. So I've got my idea of who my customers are, how I'm going to reach them, what kind of relationship I'm going to have with them. But how am I going to actually monetize this? What are they willing to pay for? How are they willing to pay for? When are they willing to pay for it? Is this a recurring transaction? Is this like a subscription service? Is this a point of sale thing? Am I selling a service or a product? What's that relationship? I mean, some businesses will sell you the actual product at a loss and then make money off the service contract by keeping it up and running. There's all sorts of different ways of monetizing a product. Facebook, which we mentioned earlier on here, doesn't charge for their services to users, but of course they charge to advertisers, because the product they deliver is the ability to drive customers to the advertiser. So there's the pithy segment of always know who you're, if it's free, always know how the company is making money off of you. And if you don't know what the company is selling, it's possible they're selling you. So on the other side of the model, we look at the sort of, how do I deliver my widget, whatever it is I'm selling, my microwave in my example at the top of the talk. What resources do I need to deliver this? What assets are essential, and what can I sort of put off? Because there's never going to be a unlimited amount of money and financing available. So there's always going to be sacrifices to make in terms of what do I need now and what can I put off till later, in terms of the resources. And human resources fits here too, right? This is, is it time to hire a second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever team member? Do I need a dedicated software developer, or am I going to be doing this in my spare time after I finish, talking to investors all day and working with the bank? I go home and finish the code base. no right or wrong answers. It just depends on sort of what companies can accomplish, but you need to have an idea what resources you need, and what activities are essential, and which ones are essential right now, which ones are essential yesterday, and which ones can sort of wait till next week. So what are those key activities that I need to do? And like, you know, if I know I'm running out of money in 2 months, then my key activity is raise more money immediately, and you know, it needs to be a priority, because in 2 months I don't have a business anymore because I've run out of resources to keep the doors open. And who are your partners? So is it investors, but also things like suppliers, who builds your components? I talked earlier about what happens if one of your suppliers goes offline, and all sorts of other kinds of partners. Do you need lawyers? Do you need tax advice? Do you need money? Do you need other kinds of business advice? Are you going to be involved with things like chambers of commerce or those kinds of organizations? Do you need salespeople? Can you outsource your salespeople? So on and so on. Who are the partners that you're going to be working with on a day-to-day basis to deliver this product or service to the market? And then everything sort of falls on the left-hand side under the cost structure. So what's it going to cost me to deliver my minimum viable product, the thing I want to release into the market? What's driving that cost? How much of that cost is upfront capital costs versus everyday operating costs? Are they fixed or variable costs? If I sell 1,000 of these, am I going to be, you know, is it going to be much more expensive per item than if I sell 1 million of these things? I mean, generally speaking, yes, but how steep is that drop off? And so on and so on. So just how is the business's cost structure going to look? And then look at the whole thing as sort of a bigger picture of the whole. So I overlaid the old rectangular, if you will, business model canvas with the cartoon version that I went through for the last little while, and it all just slots together. So you got your left side, you got your right side, you got your cost side and your delivery side, and you got your sales side, and they all sort of interact together, and you can go through and just basically fill out post-it notes people use, whiteboards people use, under each of those segments, what fits. And it's a good exercise to sort of, anybody who's doing sort of research will know that you have a great idea how something's going to work out, and you know exactly how, you understand it perfectly, and then you actually try to do it and you realize you had no idea what you were thinking about in the first place. And when you actually have to, you know, touch the chemicals and mix the solutions, everything just becomes a little bit different. And when you sit down to actually write up your paper, everything you thought was clear in your head wasn't quite so clear, and you have a whole lot more thinking to do. So this is what this forces you to do by putting it down on paper. All of the things that you thought were clear about your business are going to have to be written out explicitly in a way that sort of can be explained to other people, and it really helps clarify ideas that way. So again, I mentioned, just to recap, there's the product side, the customer side, they all sort of link together. And I'm gonna pop into a second example here in a minute, and just let you guys, because I've done this as sort of a workshop before where we could get back and forth with people. It's not really convenient to do that in this setting, I don't think. So I'm just gonna leave it with you and let you chew on it in your own sort of spare time. But the world's simplest and most basic business that everybody's familiar with is the lemonade stand. So as an exercise for the reader or the viewer, if you like, sit down, print out, or get on editable screen or something a business model canvas if you're interested, and just sort of sketch out, you know, what is the business model for this lemonade stand going to look like? So, you know, I'm projecting things in a little bit of a different way, but it's a similar sort of structure where you have your product side and your money side. You need an organization that creates lemonade. It delivers it through the lemonade stand. You acquire customers who are thirsty people. They give you revenue, which you capture at the lemonade stand and let you create more lemonade, and it just sort of loops through on itself like that. So as I said, if you're interested as an exercise, sketch that out. There are, like I said, these things are available online everywhere. They're easy to find, and we can, if you have, go through, work it through and see how it goes. So I'll go back to my earlier example of this sous vide microwave, which is the high precision even cooking microwave. It's more convenient than water baths. It's faster. There's technical challenges. What's my BMC going to look like for that? It's funny. I did this with a group of our summer entrepreneurs a couple of years ago. It was before the pandemic, and one of them was a medical doctor in training, and he said that, you know, never mind cooking. If you can deliver microwave energy in a very precise way, it's got huge medical applications in terms of tumor therapy, because you deliver heat to the tumor. You basically use that as a therapy to shrink the tumor away. So he focused his whole thing on, you know, our value proposition is working with medical device companies, and we're gonna work hand in hand with them to deliver medical therapeutics, which was not at all what I was thinking about when I started the sort of toy example. But it's an interesting way that to illustrate that these things don't always go the way you planned, and it's very much a sort of brainstorming exercise to sit down and say, well, what really is the value of this idea, and who really are the customers that are going to be interested in this? And maybe it's not who I thought it was. Maybe it's something completely different. But right now, as we sit down, and if you try to sketch out this BMC for the sous vide microwave, you're going to realize that we have a lot more questions than answers, because we don't know how to build this thing yet. And this is kind of normal for lab to market kind of stuff. It's early stage technology. We got some good ideas. We got some promising research results, but we got more questions than we got answers. And the answers to those questions aren't things that you necessarily always find in the lab. I left a bullet point in from the Summer Entrepreneur Program. Your text will be more mature. Then not necessarily, but that was relevant to that one program. I should delete that. But the point of this is that you need to talk to potential customers, talk to the people that you think are going to be interested in this, and find out what they really want out of a product or service, and at the same time work on the design of your product from a sort of lab scale to a prototype scale to a something that resembles the minimum viable product scale, and refine those designs and build, you know, cost considerations into design, and look at what you're actually going to be able to deliver. And again, that's not something that's really easy to do around the lab bench or in the room where you're studying. You need to go out and talk to suppliers and talk to potential partners and see what you can get in terms of putting a minimum viable product together. So as just a sort of one other example, I've said this business model canvas thing is very, very well known and very, very well studied, and there's lots and lots of examples online. So I pulled from the Business Model Analyst Company a sketch of what they think the BMC for somebody like Disney would look like. So it's very small print. You can't really read it. If you're interested, you can find it online. But you know, their value proposition is telling world-class stories and experiences for every child within, is what they have listed down here. So that's how they interpret Disney's core value proposition. And then they have all the sort of connections there, right? Who are your customers? Well, there's a mass market segment in terms of movies and videos and streaming and stuff like that. There's the family segment in terms of, you know, who's coming to the parks, kids and young people. More, you know, those are the segments we're focusing on because it's Disney. And how does it all connect together? What are our revenue streams? What are our cost streams? You know, how much do we expect to make out of amusement park tickets versus, you know, the next Star Wars movie versus Disney Plus versus, and so on and so on. And how does it all relate together? So it's not just a tool for the lemonade stand. It's potentially a tool that you can apply to massive multinational, multi-revenue stream companies like a Disney, and get a sketch. It's really just a sketch, of course, of what they do and how they do it, and how their costs and how their production and how their sales sort of interact with each other. So I said if I had extra time, and I think I have a few minutes left, I was going to talk briefly about the customer side and customer discovery, because as I mentioned, we have done these kinds of workshops before related to entrepreneur programs, and one of the focuses of the sort of lean startup methodology is customer discovery, customer validation, customer creation, and like finding out who your customers are, talking to your customers. When we did this summer entrepreneur program, we put teams together to sort of simulate, I guess, launching a company based on some university technologies. And if things look promising, they would then take those technologies and launch the company to commercialize them. And one of the things we insisted on over the course of the summer, as they were doing the sort of legwork program of looking at a business model and how they would deliver and what their product would be and so on, is that they would have 100 what we call customer conversations. So 100 different potential customers, people of knowledge in the industry, and so on, people that would understand the sales aspect of things, that they would talk to sort of face to face or over the phone, but like direct conversations, where they would sort of pitch their product, and you know, the customer would give their feedback as to what they liked, what they didn't like. One of the companies was, or prospective companies, was looking at ornamental plants. So they put up a stand in the bowl, and they had people coming by, and they're like, "What do you think of this?" And you know, would you like these? What do you like? What don't you like? And had that sort of direct customer experience that way. So it's hard to overestimate the importance of talking to prospective customers and knowing what the market wants as best you can. So on the they break this sort of development, and this is from the lean startup sort of methodology. They break this development up into sort of customer discovery, think through your vision of what the business is, just try to get an idea of what you don't know. And the goal is to sort of talk to customers and get an idea of what the minimum viable product you need to deliver to capture customers, to get people to see that as a valuable exchange, to give you the money for your product or service. And it's a very sort of science like approach, where you know, you have a hypothesis that I think people would like this, and you can design an experiment to see, you know, will people like this particular iteration or imagination of my minimum viable product. You can test it, you learn something from the testing, and you go back, you refine your hypothesis, and you potentially do it over and over and over again, and you go through this customer discovery process, which is a question of, you know, what's the problem and what is my solution and how do they fit together? How do I get a minimum viable product? And then how do I reach customers with my MVP? And I think I am done at this point. So I noticed there were lots of comments in the chat that I have not been monitoring at all. And
that's okay. Most of them have been coming in for me. I've just been putting in links for various things that you had up on your slides.
Excellent.
I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be helpful.
You're on top of things. Thank you.
I was trying. Thank you very much, Chris. That was absolutely fantastic. If you want to stop sharing your screen, then we can have a bit of a conversation
No, hard
and see if there's any questions that come in. That was great. As you're working here at the university, there's something about this whole idea of business model canvas, of creating a snapshot of where you want to go with your business. But I'm always thinking through the lens from a research perspective, right? And I'm thinking that there's a lot of stuff in there that, maybe just that quarter turn tweak, but if you're putting together, say, a grant proposal or something like that, there's a lot of really great learning on there that would really help sort of all researchers, especially when it comes to getting more money, right? Or getting money for your big idea, right? Like there's a lot of good ideas in there that just would take just that little quarter turn and really applies sort of beyond the business, right directly into the research world. Have you seen anyone using it sort of that way or crossing over in that way?
Yeah, there's definitely some crossover, and certainly more and more grant applications, especially for big grants, are looking for, what is the impact going to be beyond what you would normally be doing at a university in terms of publishing papers and so on. So they want to see, is there an impact channel like that, and it leads very nicely into that. What do we need, who do we need to partner with, and so on and so forth. Although I will say, I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyways. This is several years ago. I had a conversation with a entrepreneur who had worked very closely with the university, and she was telling me that the university faculty members come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm just like you, I'm very entrepreneurial." And then I have to stop myself from thinking, have you ever had to make a payroll? Have you ever had to, but you do, right? You want to find jobs for your people. You want to find funding to support the people you've made a commitment to. So there's definitely an entrepreneurial aspect to that sort of university faculty role. You just have a salary that you can count on, which is kind of nice. So
at least your own paycheck is coming.
Exactly.
Sometimes I know that there are some research groups that have a grant that can take them so far, but then they've got people that they've been developing and working with, and they desperately need another grant so that they can continue working with them. So in some ways I can see where a faculty member might consider themselves to be a bit more entrepreneurial in that way. In terms of, just to go back around business model canvas, you talked about iterating, like going back to it and doing it sort of a quick and dirty again and again and again. Like it's not a static document.
Yeah, totally.
How have you seen it used in your role at REI? When do people use this? At what point in their journey to becoming an entrepreneur, when is the best time to use this? Or is that a weird question?
Like, even we'll use it at like the brainstorming level sometimes, right? So it's like we'll get disclosures, which is, Professor Y has developed I don't know, catalyst that he thinks is interesting because it's XYZ, and he thinks there's some industry potential there. So we can sit down and sort of brainstorm with them and say, well, who would be interested in this catalyst? Who would be interested in manufacturing this catalyst? Who are the potential suppliers on one side? What's it going to cost? What are the drawbacks? Are you using chemicals that industry likes to avoid because of environmental impacts or things like that are just fine at the lab scale because you have ways to dispose of them? But if you're using 100 tons of this stuff, it's a different story. Is it water hungry, is in a way that is not attractive, and then sort of sketching out all the sort of pros and cons at that sort of, we don't really even know what we have yet stage. And then, as you say, as things develop, things change. So we learn that, somebody else is doing it this way. So maybe we don't want to go that way. We want to modify the path and duck over here. So we did the fireside chat with the company that pulls gold out of waste. And their first target was mining. Their first idea of customers was going to be, we'll look at the mining industry, and we're gonna look at the people that pull rocks out of the ground and get their gold out of the rocks for them. And for a variety of reasons, that was less attractive than looking at waste electronics. So they sort of had to pivot there. And pivot is as gentlemen will tell you, for the entrepreneur, pivot is a common word and common thing that people go through.
That's absolutely true. And we have our next live session for the Shore Entrepreneurship Series. The Friday Lunch and Learns is Friday, July 22nd, and it's all about the pivot. So see, great segue.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was doing it. So.
It was fantastic. In terms of ideas coming in through the university, do you see a lot of students bringing ideas to research excellence and innovation, or is it mostly just faculty level?
Yeah, it's mostly faculty level because of the way we have been structured historically. So basically the faculty members or people who develop things from the university in the course of their employment need to start talking to us. It's just the condition of their contract, and then we will. We've moved a lot as a university in the recent years to move to, okay, you have to talk to us, but now are you the best person? If you think you're the best person to run with this, then you take it with our blessing and you go run with it. But students don't have to talk to us at all, right? They if it's your idea, you take it and run with it without getting that sort of first preliminary step of talking to the REI office and having them say, no, it's fine, go. So we see less of that, but there's no reason why we can't engage with students. There's some limits as to what we can do as well with students. So if a faculty member decides to partner with the university, then there's resources available, again, as part of their employment relationship with the university, to sort of do some of the early intellectual property protection and start looking for marketing partners and things like that. So we don't have those resources available to people who aren't employees of the university, but we can certainly provide advice and guidance and direct towards the incubator, where we are looking at really, any members of the university community, quote unquote, are eligible to get involved in the incubator and take their idea and get some training and some mentorship and some resources to push it forward.
And if you're looking for the link, I did put the link to Opus, which is the new University of Saskatchewan, sort of a pre-incubator. Yeah,
I'm a bit better than I can. She's probably cringing as I talk, but she doesn't feel she's able to jump in.
Jenilyn already solved your technical problems, so she knows she has your back. I think that's amazing. Just a reminder to the students who mostly know this, but if you have any questions and you want to put them in the chat and have me ask them, that's fine. Or if you want to unmute yourself and ask it that way, that's available as well. Chris, do you have any reservations about using business model Canvas? What are there limitations that we should know about?
Well, it's a tool, and it's going to be as good as its application, but I don't think there's any sort of hidden gotchas. It's obviously sort of a lightweight sketch. You can take your business model canvas and then create the 50-page business plan that the bank is going to want to see from that, and you're basically pulling your headings out of the business model canvas and then filling in the blanks. But as long as you understand sort of it's a sort of lightweight sketch, it's something that can be nimble and pivoted and iterated, and that it's not sort of the end of business modeling, I think that's sufficient.
Yes, as long as you remember it's a living document that you can go back to again and again, and just yeah. As you said, and this is a quote from you, quick and dirty.
Yeah, did I say that? Sorry.
Yeah. I liked it. It was direct. It's very, very good. And with that,
you get these terminology sometimes.
I don't see any particular questions coming in on the chat, but I thank the students who were here and those who are watching this on their own time. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email Research Excellence and Innovation or email Chris directly. That's chris.bowman@usask.ca. Agnes, as has put it in on the chat, thank you very much. She's one of the students who's here, and there's a few others as well. And thank you so much for being with us today, Chris. And thanks, Jenilyn, for solving our technical problems at the beginning.
Yes, thank you, Jenilyn.
I will make sure that I excise that before we upload it, and make it live on YouTube. But after that, we'll be good to go. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.